Let's take a look at how to create a table in Canvas. You can create tables in Canvas pages, assignments, quizzes, discussions, anywhere in Canvas where you access a rich content editor, you can create a table. For this example, I'm going to create a table in a discussion. So this is my discussion 2. And as you can see, I already have headings with the objective, instructions. I have a video in there. And then at the bottom, I have a grading rubric. So I decided to use the Canvas Tables tool to provide the information for the rubric. And it's very convenient because the headings in the columns provide you with this grid so that students can see exactly which criteria has which rating and point value. So what we'll do here is recreate this table in this discussion. So the first thing I'll do is select the edit button and open up my screen a little bit. And then I'll scroll down to the table. Now, since we're going to recreate it, I'll go ahead and delete this table for now. What I'm left with here is the introduction to the grading rubric. And you see that the cursor is blinking at the end of the statement. So on the keyboard, I will press the Enter Return button. What you want to do here is, like I'm doing, place the cursor where you actually want the table to go. So I definitely want the table in the next paragraph line, just following the statement. Now I'll go to the Rich Content Editor and locate the Table tool. And then I will select the drop menu. And the first option is the Table option. And now I'm just moving around in this area. In my case, I'm using a trackpad. You might be using a mouse. I don't have to click yet. But what I want to do is create a table that is 3 columns and 4 rows. Once I have the dimensions of the table, then I just click. And there I have it. So now I can begin typing the text into each cell. And the top left cell is what the cursor defaults to. You can click into any cell to type in. Okay, so I'll go ahead and start there in the top left. And then I can also press the tab button to move me over to the right cell. And then tab again. And there's my points column. Now I'm just clicking into different cells and typing in. And for the ratings, now I'm going to actually copy and paste. So in my text edit note, I have my 3 rating statements, and I'll copy and I'm going to paste. But one little strategy you can use is to right click and paste and match style, or if you're on a PC, it will say paste as plain text. And you say, well, why do that? It's because pasting as plain text removes any of the formatting that might be in. For example, if you were copying and pasting from a Word document, you might get big font size or something, that formatting that you don't want. So I'm going to go ahead and click to paste and match style. So that way I just get plain text and my table has a clean look to it. So I will go ahead and copy and paste the remaining statements. And then I have my point values. I keep it simple, 1 point each. So now I have created my table. The next step is to then make the table accessible. So what does that mean? That means that students that depend on a screen reader, maybe for visual impairment, will depend on what the screen reader reads back to them so that they can navigate the page. So tables include this grid. So students, first of all, want, using a screen reader, they want the table to be identified to them. So we'll need to add a caption for the table, and then they'll also want header rows and or header columns to be assigned as headers, so that they can know, for example, in this case, that this column criteria has the criteria of accuracy, communication, and focus. Rating has these ratings, and then the point values for these cells follow according to those columns. So the Canvas accessibility checker, so this is the icon down here at the bottom, is a great tool to make your tables accessible. It will essentially prompt you to fill in those items. So I'm going to go ahead and select the accessibility checker. And as you can see, it prompts me to add a caption. So I'm going to call this a discussion rubric, because that is clearly what it is. And then I select the apply button. And then in my case, I'm going to, for selecting the table headers, I'm going to select the header row and column. And then once I apply that, then my accessibility checker says that I am good to go. So there is my now accessible table. One more thing I'd like to show you, actually a couple more things, but next I want to show you the table properties. So when you click onto the table, you can select table properties. And I just want to show you, first of all, that you don't have to show the caption visually if you don't want. So you can uncheck that and save. So then that way the screen reader is what will read that caption. And if you are visually reading the table, you don't have to see that. But again, that's up to you. So that's just an option. I can put it back on and save. And then I'll go ahead and save the discussion. So there you have it. There's my table. Now, it's good to go. It has the criteria in it, and it's also accessible. So you can stop there. I do want to show you a couple more design points that might help visually give a little bit more space and design to your table. So I went ahead and edited the discussion again, and I will go ahead and select the table and go to table properties. And cell padding is always a good way to provide a little bit more space with the text that you have in each cell. So for me, I use the number 8. That seems to be a good number from my experience. So I'll go ahead and save that. And then secondly, I like the text to actually be centered. So the rows and columns as headers are already centered. So the remaining 6 cells, I'll just select all of them. And in the rich content editor, I'll go to the align function, and then I will select the drop menu and then select center. And then I will save the discussion, and there you have it. So it gives it a little bit more space, white space in your page. Good for design. So there is creating a table in a Canvas discussion.